Welcome, investigator. Evil is on the rise. Crime is escalating. Our mission is to eliminate the crime by exposing evil, examine why it manifests, and highlight the brave souls that confront it every day. Join us as we work together to bring justice to every victim. Welcome to All Things Crime. Here's your host, Jared Bradley.
Hey everybody, it's Jared. Welcome to another episode of All Things Crime. Hey, while we're here, why don't you make sure to subscribe to both the YouTube and wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure to hit that bell so that you're alerted to when we post a new episode. So pretty much every Tuesday is when we launch new episodes. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed, especially recently, all the episodes that we've done. I've had some fantastic guests. And so this week, one of the best parts of being a podcaster and being involved in forensics is I'm able to actually be a guest on other podcasts. And this week, the episode that you're going to hear in just a second, I was a guest. So I was actually at what's called IAI, which is a big conference, the International Association of Investigation. And at this conference, they have, it's huge. I mean, there's thousands of CSIs and detectives and forensics analysts that come to these conferences. And part of that conference is a big vendor area. And that's usually where I'm at these conferences representing M-Vac Systems, but I also represent All Things Crime. And I was able to link up with some good friends of mine, Laura and Shelly, and they have started a new podcast called Crime Scene Queens. And if you're not familiar with these guys and you want to listen to just a really fun, but also very educational forensics type of a podcast, then you definitely need to subscribe to Crime Scene Queens. And this is, I had the opportunity at this IAI conference to go on their show and talk about the M-Vac and talk about some other things that I have expertise in. And these two are just amazing, amazing ladies. And we had a lot of fun recording this episode. So I wanted to bring this to you. If you're watching this on YouTube, I apologize. It's audio only, but really entertaining. And I hope you guys go and subscribe to the Crime Scene Queens, because these ladies are just awesome. And I think you'll really enjoy this, not just this episode, but their show in general. So enjoy, guys. We'll talk to you later.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Crime Scene Queens. And once again, your girls are at the International Association for Forensic Sciences conference in Omaha, Nebraska. And we have another great interview on the books from this show, which is such a great way to connect with our peers. And we have the pleasure this week of connecting with Jared Bradley. Now, you might not know who he is, but you will by the end of this episode. And if you're in the field, even if you don't know Jared's name, even though you probably do, you might know his father's invention, which is now becoming a more streamlined innovation in forensic science. For some history, I am Laura, your friendly resident CSI and field mouse.
And I'm Shelly, your legal beagle and your courtroom cat.
And when I was a little baby field mouse, like a little baby one,
jumping in the field,
I worked for an agency that had a decent amount of funding, and we were able to purchase the M-Vac machine. Now, if you don't know what the M-Vac machine is, just hold your shorts because you're about to find out. But Jared flew to our agency, trained us how to use this machine. And since then, we have been able to collect all kinds of evidence from items that we would not even typically collect because it was in the past just impossible. So it's super exciting to talk to Jared.
Oh my gosh, this is an amazing, amazing piece of equipment and so informational. So I'm so excited for Jared's presentation on this, and hopefully we can actually be able to put up some videos. Yeah. So I think we might be able to pull off some videos. So definitely everybody stay tuned, because Jared is amazing and his product is just, it blows my mind still.
That's right. So here is our interview with Jared Bradley. So welcome to Crime Scene Queens, Jared.
Hey, thanks. It's an honor.
Thank
So
you so much
lucky.
for being here. And first, I just want to say, since we are live, we're actually at the show. We are physically in the show. So there might be some random people that walk by and say something.
Yeah.
So, this is live in the show.
Pardon our background noise.
Exactly.
So when I met Jared, he was teaching me how to use this equipment. And the reason why my crime scene unit was interested is because the local sheriff's office, which was BSO, so Broward Sheriff's Office,
Gotcha.
had solved a decent amount of cold cases with the M-Vac machine.
Okay.
So we then used it and had the ability to extract DNA evidence from our more complicated items where we wouldn't normally have been able to pull that type of thing. So
I'm so excited.
I know. So I think that we need to Tarantino and go further back. Can you tell us about the creation of the machine and like what it does?
Oh, of course. So the M-Vac is, if you can think of just like a medical grade carpet cleaner. So
It's good.
it sprays a sterile solution down onto a surface and then vacuums up whatever you're looking for. So now when we got started actually in around 2007 is when we launched the product.
Okay.
It was originally designed by my dad, who was a PhD in microbiology and animal sciences.
Shout out to Pops.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go way back to 1993, I'm not sure you guys were even born by then.
I was born in 1984, Jared.
Okay.
I was almost graduated high school. So
All right.
there we
well,
are.
Thanks for the compliment, by
Yeah,
the way.
you guys look fantastic then.
Thank you.
Okay. So in 1993, there was an E. coli outbreak, especially on the West Coast, California, Oregon, Washington, where a bunch of hamburger from Jack in the Box.
I recall.
Yeah. And it caused a lot of people to go into kidney failure. And I think 6 kids even died from that.
Yes, I
Well,
do remember.
Dad grew up on a ranch in Idaho. And so, of course, tainted beef and the beef industry is really going to bother him. So he started evaluating the problem and realized that the upfront sampling was really the weak spot. So once he identified it, then he had to figure out, how do you solve the problem? And you got to get more aggressive. If you're looking for one cell, one E. coli or salmonella cell or something like that on a huge surface, how do you cover that entire surface area and get deeper down into the cracks and crevices where this might be hiding?
Right.
Well, what better than a wet vacuum? So because then it can get down into those little nooks and crannies and pull it out. Well, so we launched the product in 2007, and the food industry, wasn't quite as interested as we thought they would be.
Okay.
And so
Sucks for them. Good for us.
Yeah.
So the moral of that story is cook your food.
Yes.
Yes.
And fortunately for us, around 2011, well, actually about 2010, if I remember right, a college buddy of mine who had gone into the FBI, I'd gone into the military and he'd gone into the FBI, and I was explaining what the M-Vac was to him in the context of collecting E. coli.
Okay.
And he was like, man, that would have been awesome on some of my crime scenes.
Okay.
And so lo and behold, the light bulb goes off, and I'm like, well, maybe we ought to go test it and really make sure that this thing's going to work. And so we took it to a lab there in Salt Lake City and had them test it for us. And they came back and they were like, we've never seen recoveries like this.
Wow.
Love that story. It takes
So-
one person.
That is
Yeah.
amazing.
So
wow.
it's just thin threads, right?
That's,
And
that's great.
So we were really fortunate that we had it tested, and because we still had high hopes for the food market, but by 2011 we were like, you know what, this isn't going to work out. So we pivoted into forensics in 2012, and that's where we've been ever since.
Wow.
So what does M-Vac stand for?
Well, the M is actually, it used to stand for microbial,
Right.
but that doesn't make much sense in forensics.
Right.
So we shortened it, and everybody called it the M-Vac anyway, because
So it's just the origin story is that it was originally microbial, right?
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
But now it's just the machine that everybody wants and not everybody can have.
yes. It might be a little pricey, but worth it. So are there some cases that you can recall, and you don't have to say names or anything, but just something that you can recall that this has made a huge impact?
Well, the case that put us on the map was a case from 1996. A girl named Crystal Beslanowicz was bludgeoned to death with some river rocks, and they were the granite, sharp, really rough rocks.
Mhm.
And there were 6 of them total, but 2 of those were about 10 pounds, small enough that you could actually grip it with your hand, but large enough and
make an impact.
definitely sharp enough that it could cause a lot of damage. And he had used 2 of those rocks to bludgeon her with.
Wow.
And they had tried to swab those multiple times throughout the years, but in 2013, Sorensen Forensics, who was actually the ones that private lab that tested the M-Vac initially,
Mhm.
they bought a system and they started reaching out to different agencies, and this is one of the cases that they reached out to, and they were able to vacuum those rocks, and they got plenty of DNA, and lo and behold, they caught the guy.
So what I hear you're saying is that you can take something that has been, swabbed over and over and over again and still get results. That's incredible, because a lot of times, if you use a certain type of process, then it destroys other processes.
Yeah, like if you're going to swab a rock, it's going to ruin the cotton.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be really
Yeah.
hard to swab and to try to get DNA. But then if you swab it and you don't get DNA, then have you lifted all the DNA potentially off of the surface? Or
No, not with swabbing. It's University of Illinois Chicago actually did a study, and they showed that upwards to 80% of the DNA that's deposited on evidence never actually makes it into the extraction tube.
Huh.
And personally, I think,
CSI-EDU.
yeah, personally, I think the majority of it is left back on the evidence. And the reason I say that is because both Washington State Patrol and the FBI, as part of their validation studies, took evidence, swabbed it first, and then M-Vac'd it. And on some of those substrates, the M-Vac still collected 66 times more than what the swab originally did.
Wow.
So even though the swabbing may take some of that material, I think the majority of it's leaving behind.
Wow.
And the reason it's not a problem is usually, like, if you have a blood spatter, semen stain, something like that, where you can, visibly see it. There's so much there, it doesn't matter what you collect it with.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's so this machine that we're speaking about, there's a huge machine that I say huge
Not
because
huge.
I'm 5
It's like
feet.
the size of a suitcase. by the
Okay,
way.
yeah, it's the size
To
of a suitcase.
Shelly, it's huge.
I'm 5 feet tall, and okay, so it's huge to me. It's the size of a suitcase. So there's this machine.
So far we've got huge machine and it's super expensive. So
This
we're
is going to
just-
be great.
We're
No,
just selling the hell out of
Well,
this thing
I
here.
think
What I'm
Shelly's
trying to play devil's advocate. I'm trying to get you to tell me that no, it's really worth it, and it's not that expensive, and it's really not that big because it's the size of a
Yeah.
suitcase.
I'm a guy. I don't pick up on hints very well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Laura, help me out here.
So what Shelly's trying to articulate is that while the machine might be more expensive than like your metal detector,
Obviously,
the return on investment as far as solving super violent crime or even, large scale burglary is you're going to get it back in spades, and you're able to then go back to some of the cold cases and recover new items of evidence. So while it's not pocket change, and it shouldn't be because the science and the research that went into it has merit and deserves to be rewarded, we're able to use these machines when we have the budget. But for, I know I've talked about before how I've worked for an agency that had a lot of funding and an agency that didn't.
yes.
So for my agency that didn't, I'm pretty sure you co-signed that this was fine with you, Jared. We would buy the kit, which means like the filter, the tubing, and the bags. And then we would borrow the physical machine that does the job from the sheriff's office. So there are ways to make sure that we're...
Oh, so there's ways that if there's really not a lot of funding, that we could potentially
There's workaround.
Yeah, there's work. Oh, so maybe that's what I was trying to say.
Well,
thank you.
It's actually, I remember when we got our M-Vac at my first agency, we named it Wally.
Oh my goodness,
I think
Wally.
it's cute. I think
That's
the
really
machine is cute.
adorable.
I'm
Yeah.
sure cute wasn't what you were going for, Jared, but
Yeah, Jared doesn't like cute. He doesn't like. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to talk to the designers the engineers that actually designed it,
But-
as far as the cute goes. But
So the design and the what I was trying to get the listeners to visualize. So if they can't visualize it because I'm apparently not good at explaining things, can you tell
come on.
us?
We're just giving you a hard time.
Well, what's
I know.
the components of the machine? Like
Well,
when I say there's a kit, you know. Like,
Yeah. So the kit,
Yeah.
I wanted to explain the kit, but before that, is there like a website that maybe they could go to?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Our website is m-vac.com.
Not underscore, not dot, hyphen. Yep.
Yeah. And you can also go to, we have a YouTube channel, M-Vac Systems, M-Vac Systems.
That's great. So they can see exactly what you're talking about.
Absolutely,
And then
yeah.
what Laura was referencing is almost like an hourglass shape.
I mean, maybe I'll let Jared do this, but there's a couple of different components to the machine. I would imagine the listeners would be interested is how you would wet vac or rug doctor a piece of evidence.
Yeah.
Like, how does that work? Like, what are the steps? What are the unique components of the M-Vac machine that make it work?
Well, you have the durable item, which
Mhm.
is, the suitcase-sized machine that houses the vacuum pump, the solution delivery system, the components that you're going to use over and over and over again. And that's really the engine behind the entire machine. So then you have the actual collection device. You have what we call an extension tubing, and that enables you to take the collection device away from the machine, and you can go up to 60 feet away and still be able to collect.
Wow.
I'm not sure you'd ever do that with a piece of evidence, but and then you have the solution bag, which is a 1 liter bag. If you imagine an IV in a hospital,
Yes.
everybody's been in the hospital and seen an IV, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's where we got the idea. And then those are the once you attach them all and connect them, then obviously that's what you use to do the collection. And then the concentration step is after that, and that's where you use a small 0.45 micron filter, and that enables the filter the filter captures all the DNA, and then it allows all the liquid to flow through it. Mm-hmm. So you can cover a super big surface area, but it's still concentrated on that small filter, and that filter is actually what they send to the lab.
Right. So the filter is what I was describing as it's kind of an hourglass shape.
Yes.
And then the center part of the hourglass where the sand passes through is thicker, and that's where the filter is. And it looks like one of those little makeup pads, kind of. Like the flat circle. Okay, why would you know that, Jared? Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're looking at Jared like he would know, and I don't think he would know. But yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah,
those
it looks
little things that you put a stringent on your face.
Yes. Or
I've been married 30 years. I've seen them.
Okay, well, thank goodness.
Thank you for your humor.
Yes, thank you. I remember I had a series of scenes at my second agency, and I had to M-Vac a bunch of towels.
Oh, geez.
And it took me to use proper best practices for the machine quite some time, because the nozzle of the handheld part is an inch, or what's the diameter of that piece?
No, it's 35 millimeters, or an inch and 3/8.
Okay, so
almost an inch and a half. About the size of a 50-cent piece.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So you have to make this in stripes. And then, so you deposit the water, and then with the same nozzle, you go back over it to suck it up. So it took me 4 hours to do these towels. And next time I saw Jared, I'm like, hey, I'm going to need something with a little bit more width. And he goes, well, we're not going to do that because literally everybody except for you has actually asked for a tinier nozzle, because they don't want you going over blood stains, right? Right? You're not supposed to M-Vac over blood.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the blood most likely is going to be victim blood.
Right. And if I'm M-Vacing a victim's shirt, it's going to be victim DNA on there anyway. But Jared was saying that when there's spatter on clothing, people want to be able to maneuver around blood spatter.
Around the blood spatter, absolutely.
So I was the only one filing the request for a wider nozzle, so he told me no. So, Jared, usually when there's new technology in forensic science, people are kind of snide to adopt it. So why do you think the M-Vac didn't have what I perceive to be, I'm going to make sure I say it that way, as much trouble kind of passing the test I've attended a bunch of new technology seminars and those things all went away, but the M-Vac did not. So why are you guys so awesome?
Why are we so awesome? That is a pretty loaded question.
Well, in your
Thanks,
own
Laura.
answer.
Honestly, I think we've just been persistent enough that we just said,
Yeah.
we know this thing has a place. We know that it's solved a number of cases already. Therefore,
Yeah.
it'll solve more. And, just because somebody turns it down doesn't mean everybody will. And so we just kept pushing until we found enough people that eventually they were like, yeah, we'll do this. So
Do you remember the first agency that adopted it?
the first agency
Yeah.
that adopted it.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what?
You should totally know the first one that popped your cherry there, Jared. Come on. Your M-Vac cherry.
All right.
Jared's like so mad that he agreed to do this now.
He's like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Well, Sorensen Forensics was the first one to actually
Okay.
buy one.
But I mean like a PD because we're the most cynical sometimes.
No, I would disagree with that.
Okay, fine.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Uh,
All right.
I found that
I can be disagreed with.
well, of course you can, but
Me.
no, the lab people are much slower to adopt it than the actual agency folks.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that's really been the kind of the bottleneck.
Okay.
Has been some of the labs.
Okay.
But as far as the agencies that used it first, most of those are in Utah because that's where
That's
Sorensen is.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So they weren't using it through us. They were trying it out through Sorensen first for the first couple of even the first year.
Mm-hmm.
And as they started solving cases, then agencies like you guys started hearing about that. We were attending conferences, but
Yeah.
it wasn't until probably we pivoted into forensics in 2012, and it really didn't start even selling at all until, I don't know, 2014.
That's probably when I saw you.
Yeah.
And you know what it was for us? Because I specifically remember it was the case solved at BSO or Broward Sheriff's Office. Like they did something, which I think might have also been a rock. Do you remember? They did something magic over there. And my agency was like, go find out what that is.
yeah.
And then our man over here came over and, Jared, I think I even still have on my phone, not that our audience can see, a picture of me in that training.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So we might have to actually, okay. So
I'll post it.
yes.
On our, You
yes.
guys follow Crime Scene Queens on Instagram, and you can see this picture
Absolutely.
of Baby Laura
Oh.
practicing with the M-Vac machine.
Yes.
Back in
And
2014.
Yes.
I don't know.
8 years ago.
You know what? I'll
Yeah.
check the metadata on the picture, and maybe I can have a more precise answer.
I'm definitely interested, and I want to make sure that whether you're a large agency or a smaller agency, that as Laura was saying, that if you can't afford the entire machine, not that it's super expensive, but if you can't afford the entire machine, then you'll work with agencies, or they can cross agency as long as they get the reusable, or I'm sorry, I guess it's not the reusable, but the little.
Oh, the actual collection. Oh, well, that's the filter. Yeah. Well, okay. So just so all of your listeners understand,
Right.
After you buy the machine, it's about $100 per sample is just kind of a rule of thumb.
Okay.
But on a murder case, a typical
Mhm.
homicide based on data costs about $1 million.
I would be absolutely willing to spend hundreds of dollars if it would solve the problem.
Oh yeah,
solve the case.
And they have upwards of 235,000 cold case homicides in the
Yeah.
United States. So you figure, with all of there's a reason those are cold, and that's
Yes.
because they can't find any leads.
Correct.
They've already processed the evidence as well as they can.
Correct.
So how many of those could be solved with better DNA collection? Who knows?
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like all of a sudden a lot of cases are being solved because of DNA.
Yeah.
Back we didn't have DNA, and
Yeah,
now that
the
we do have it, it's crazy. It's
The
solving
cost
so
to
many cases.
society of
Exactly.
just those homicides being
Yeah.
cold cases
Yeah.
is massive. You're talking millions and millions, if not billions of dollars worth of value there. And so, yeah, to kick down a few $1 million for more M-Vac sampling and more DNA testing,
That would be
it might
phenomenal.
solve some of those. Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's not, in a grand scheme of things, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So
Do you have any private forensic companies that use the M-Vac? Like, I'm just thinking about people that do like where a family might solicit the reinvestigation of like their loved one's murder. Do you have any like agencies like that? or consulting
Well,
places?
there's a lot of not necessarily consulting businesses, but more both the private labs and like cold case societies like ASOC and other cold case,
Right. Yeah.
the
Yep.
Research Institute.
Okay.
Places like that is where I would send families because number one, they have the expertise. Number two, they already have experience with solving those cold cases. And so, yeah, there's a lot of organizations like that are all over the place where a family member could go. And another thing about the cold case societies is they have a lot of credibility with the actual law enforcement agency where they might be able to open a case, whereas normally a family member doing research, it's pretty difficult.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about cold cases because I feel like that's like a really good piece of karma work for the podcast. Like, what's a case that has come across your awareness lately that the MVAC has helped solve, whether it be putting a name to a person or a conviction or a suspect or what's
Well, I
top of
think
mind?
one of a case that was just cracked in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I just finished a number of my own episodes, podcast episodes
Right.
with it. The victim's name is Lena Reyes Geddes.
Okay. Was she
Okay.
unknown before?
She was a Jane Doe
Oh, okay.
homicide.
Wow.
Just
Okay.
as important as finding the killer, guys, is giving these
Yeah.
people names.
Absolutely.
It was a Jane Doe homicide for 20 years.
Wow.
She was originally from Mexico. Not sure, exactly what her history is, but she ended up marrying this guy in Ohio named Edward Geddes.
Okay.
And just a couple of years later, she disappears essentially. And her husband didn't even report her missing.
Oh, that's not a red
Oh.
flag.
And yeah, there it is.
Pleasant.
Yeah, he what a piece of work this guy was.
He sounds fun, Jared.
Yeah. So this is back in 1998, I believe.
Okay.
And in 2001, Edward Geddes actually committed suicide. So
Oh,
I'll
okay.
bet you this,
Welp.
killing his wife and what he did to her probably eventually got to him, but he took the coward's way out there. So anyway,
Right.
Yes.
what happened was somehow they think basically he transported her from Ohio all the way out to Utah.
Oh.
Oh, geez.
So she was tied up in plastic with duct tape in a sleeping bag and then rolled in a carpet.
Oh,
And then
my.
she was just kind of dumped in the deserts of Utah. And
Wow.
yeah. And
Wow.
so that's, a couple of guys found her.
Yeah, that's a lot of layers to that.
Yeah.
That's a Russian, one of those little Russian dolls.
Yes.
Many different compartments that she was rolled into there. Not to make light of her situation, but that's the first thing that came to my mind is,
Well,
damn.
Yeah.
personally, and the detective that helped solve this from Utah,
Mhm.
Brian Davis, an amazing guy, and he had a lot of help, obviously with Francine Bardole and Pure Gold Forensics and other folks. But
Shout out to Brian and Francine.
There
Yeah.
you go. Yeah.
Francine, she's a extraordinaire.
Can't wait to meet you one day, Francine.
Come be a guest on our show.
You should.
Yeah.
Should. She's got her own lab now,
Nice.
Wow.
kind of serology lab. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. She's all sorts of expertise there. So,
That's amazing.
but what happened, I think, is he killed her in Ohio, knew that he had to transport her a long way, so he actually froze her.
Oh.
How did he do that? Do you know? Like, how do you freeze? Did he literally stick her in like one of the,
Or dry ice.
do we have any idea how that happened? Because I've never heard of somebody,
Stick her in a freezer.
I guess.
Stick her in a freezer. So
Yeah.
She
Yeah,
fat.
clean it
Was
out.
she disarticulated? Or was she complete?
Mostly complete.
Because, I mean,
But
not many
Her
people.
fingertips were removed.
Oh, so
Right.
that there was a
So they
potential
couldn't
for no.
identify her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. He really
Which
didn't
is
want her to
how,
be found.
why she ended up being unidentified for 20
Correct.
years. So,
Correct.
plus
Right.
being originally from Mexico and then missing from Ohio, and they find her in Utah.
In Utah. Yeah. That you wouldn't put that
And-
together.
Well, those databases don't talk, as we've
Yes. Yes.
mentioned this week.
So fast forward, they finally identify her, which is a pretty amazing way that happened. So literally within 5 days of each other, the Utah detectives saying, you know what, we have nothing to lose. Let's put a picture of her, post-mortem picture of her.
Oh,
but
like
it
a
was-
forensic art?
Yeah, but
Okay.
it was, it was really well done.
Mhm.
And then within 5 days of each other, the Youngstown, Ohio,
Mm-hmm.
also put out her picture
Oh, that.
Wow.
And, like a NamUs type of,
Yeah.
of a
Right.
photo. And some person in California happened to see the two and said, I think that's the same person.
Go California.
Yeah. And so, all these people contributing to it, and it's just
Wow.
absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's how they identified her, but they had to go through tons of steps to get comparison DNA from her sister in Mexico and all these other crazy things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That poor
the
thing.
efforts that the detectives and the agencies did to get her identified
Mm-hmm.
was just phenomenal. And then it took them another 4 years to actually solve the case. But the way they ultimately did it is the rope that she was tied up with. They finally submitted that to Francine, who M-Vac'd it, and they got, now to put this into context, they had submitted that rope to the state lab multiple times with basically no results.
No results,
The only
correct.
DNA they ever found on there was Lena's.
Wow.
But
Gotcha.
when
Okay.
Francine did it, she got 117 nanograms of DNA material.
That is
Okay, can you-
incredible.
Okay, but like for our audience, like what does that mean, Jared? Like that much content,
Yes.
like
Okay,
of
so
DNA. Yep.
it takes a half of a nanogram of DNA, which is basically 10 cells,
Okay.
to create a full DNA profile.
Okay.
Okay.
And they collected 117 nanograms.
Oh, love that story.
And 91% of it was male DNA.
Oh,
Okay. Well,
perfect.
that's
Yeah.
helpful for.
Perfect.
So that's huge.
So I actually have talked about cases and stuff. And so there was a case where there was a rope and the person was a suspected suicide, but the family believed that it was homicide. However, the person was found hanging off of a balcony and on
As you do.
Yes, and on the rope, they didn't use the M-Vac. Instead, they actually just did the regular, typical DNA swabs. Well, when you do a typical DNA swab, you're only swabbing a portion of that rope. And with the M-Vac, it seems like you can swab the entire rope,
If you need to, yeah.
Okay.
which is incredible. Because, in other words, if you're doing a portion, then
We found the baby
found
Laura
it. We
picture.
found a
just
picture.
And
found
look,
the photo.
February 27th, 2015, baby Laura. There's the famous M-Vac hat. Is that it?
There it is.
Is that the red hat that you always teach us with?
No, that's a rope.
Oh, see, rope.
Oh, a rope.
Okay, so see this black
Perfect.
hat that's
Yeah,
on
okay,
there?
yeah.
We're gonna post this. So in the bottom right hand corner, there's
Yeah,
a
and
black hat,
There's a
and you
black
can see the
hat.
bill of it. Yes.
The funny thing about that, I took that hat to trainings, to conferences, everything. Now, this is how crazy some of you law enforcement types are. That hat right there, and it was nasty. I mean, you imagine how many
The
times
Brody
it's been,
hat.
touched and sampled and stuff. Well,
Yeah.
at a conference, you know how the opening night everybody's busting in to get pens and all this other
Absolutely.
To
stuff?
get all the conference swag,
Yeah.
Yes.
Like T-shirts.
like T-shirts and maybe crime scene queen stickers.
Yeah. Crime
Yes.
Scene Queen stickers is a must-have. Anyway, that hat disappeared at a conference.
Oh,
No.
it got
Yeah.
stolen. So basically, the crime scene people stole from you or somebody.
I
Maybe it
just,
was somebody else that
Oh my
frolicked on
gosh,
in.
that
just
is
cracks
so
me up.
funny.
Somebody's
That's
going to
funny.
get home with their swag bag and find this nasty hat in there and just probably go, what? How did that thing end up in
look,
there?
there's the machine and there's Michelle. Look, I found there's part 2 of.
Oh,
M-Vacing.
look at that.
Well,
Yes.
it's not a real scene because I'm barehanded.
Yes.
Like
okay.
that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
no
Yes,
PPE.
Laura. Yes, Laura. She regularly practiced PPE. Obviously. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we're not going to be collecting DNA cells of potential victims and suspects with our bare hands, people.
No, we don't. But that's amazing. What a great story. And that is I definitely I love the M-Vac. I didn't know exactly what it was at first, and I didn't know its capabilities. And I think that honestly, this is 100% worth it. So I thank you so much for the knowledge. And
I
I don't know if
know.
there's anything else that you want to
Yeah, like
fill
tell
us in on, or
Well, hey, how about you? Why don't you drop your podcast really quick so that people can learn more about what you're doing over there? With
definitely.
Yeah. My podcast is called All Things Crime.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason it got started is because I wasn't able to come to conferences like this during
Right.
COVID.
Right.
And so I just started reaching out to detectives and people. And now my podcast is oriented around the process.
Okay.
Not
Okay.
necessarily casework, but
Sure.
more
That's great,
you know,
though.
how things are solved. And
That's really awesome.
Yeah. And if you
Yeah.
guys search All Things Crime on your podcast platform, you're going to see animated Jared in front of a DNA helix, and you're going to immediately know
That's so awesome.
that you're in the right place, baby.
That's really neat. Wow.
yeah, I'd love it. So
Is there anything that you can tell me? Because I was trying to describe to Shelly, like, why is the filter that's in that hourglass part of the machine so unique? Like, what does it do that allows us to catch these cells different than like putting any other filter in that space? Like, what's unique about it?
well, it's mostly just the pore size.
Okay.
So most cells are 2 micron or larger. Now a micron is, if I got my math right, I think it's 1/1,000,000th
Okay.
of a meter.
Okay.
So let's see. No, that's millimeter.
Yeah. So it's getting smaller.
So micron is like 1/1000,000th or something like that. Anyway, it's super small.
Okay.
So the filter size has to be smaller than the smallest cell in order to
Okay.
capture it all on
Absolutely.
that filter. And so if the smallest cells is 2 micron, that has
Okay.
to be about a quarter of that size. So
Wow.
that's how small it is.
Yep. And then you got to get
Impressive.
yourself a scalpel. You got to cut out that filter. You got to give it to your DNA people, which could either be at your local laboratory, but I know that in the cases of some homicides, we would send it to private places because then they could get us our M-Vac stuff much, much faster.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So there's different avenues and different ways to do this, but it sounds like it's absolutely worth it. I mean, 100%. You sold me on the rope. That's
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
golden, and I am actually. Yeah.
Well, you want to know the future.
Oh, tell us the future. Yes.
The
Yes,
future. Here we
please.
go. Here we go.
Yes, please.
Magic 8 Ball.
So,
Tell me the future.
I was doing a training up in Pennsylvania, and the lab that I was training actually had a rapid DNA system.
Mhm.
Oh,
So
okay.
they took the M-Vac filter that we were, training with, took one of those, cut it out, sliced it up, put it into the
Mm-hmm.
rapid DNA system, and 90 minutes later they had a profile.
Oh my God, this shows are coming real.
Oh my
Oh, it's not
gosh.
20 minutes, but 90 minutes is still, I mean, that's going to be expensive. Oh my God.
Wow.
But amazing,
So our
Jared.
CSI effect
Yeah.
is coming true.
Well, we've done episodes, Jared, where we were like explaining to our audience that one of the biggest problems with the crime scene shows that are out there is that there's such an unrealistic expectation of turnaround time for prints, DNA analysis, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
So now you're going to sit here and tell me that we were full of crap. And when our podcast is listened to 20 years from now, it's going to age poorly.
It's not going to be
Yeah.
like us or fine
Well,
wine.
You can't do that with like complex mixtures and things like that yet, but
Mhm.
someday they will be able to.
Nice.
Speaking of complex mixtures, I have to tell you my personal most unique item that I've ever M-Vac'd. My coworker had a homicide where a woman was grabbed by her wig and it had the braids in it, and he was gripping her at the base of her skull and then executed her. But
Oh.
he was guiding her around by her hair.
Okay.
So I had to M-Vac the wig. The problem with that was the wig wasn't very well made, so it had a lot of dyes.
Oh, okay.
So as I was M-Vacing, my water was like black.
Oh.
Yeah, but we did end up getting a hit. So
okay, hold on. So time out. So you're telling me that you can actually take something, and if there's a bunch of different chemicals that are all throughout this, you can still M-Vac and get results even with a ton of chemicals.
Jared, what's the most unique item of evidence you have heard about the M-Vac processing successfully? Like, I'm sure you get told like success stories. Can you think of something unique?
Well, wig is pretty close.
Yeah?
That's
Oh, so it was me. I'm the most
yeah,
unique.
you are the bomb.
It wasn't my evidence, but what was going on that facilitated me processing somebody else's evidence, because that's not always typical, is I had all of those towels that I mentioned earlier to process. So she asked me, hey, since you're already going to the sheriff's office to M-Vac, would you mind taking this with you?
Gotcha.
Because otherwise then like there's one less person in the unit to respond. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Like, then you write your own teeny tiny report. So I ended up,
Little did you know
I
how
know.
many years later you'd be here talking
I know,
about it.
now I'm here hanging out with Jared, telling him about that time a wig.
Wig is pretty cool.
It was cool. Just start rattling one off. rattling them
Well,
off.
blah, blah, blah.
There's rocks and bricks, and like there were some bricks that were thrown at some officers during the riots in 2020.
Oh,
And
okay.
they collected a couple of those and got some hits there.
It's not a peaceful protest, people.
Yeah.
That's not how we say we're displeased. That's not how you get your message through. You're allowed to be pissed, and you're allowed to say that, but you're not allowed to throw rocks like a child. All right, done with rant.
Okay, yeah. Laura's rant for the day. It's fine.
So
It's
tell us how
fantastic.
you really feel, Laura.
How I really feel is throwing rocks at other people is against the law, and you're not allowed to do it, regardless if they're officers or anyone.
There you go.
Very true.
And
There you
namaste.
go. Namaste. Namaste right here because people are throwing rocks outside.
And namaste.
Ooh.
Oh, no, it's
Okay.
CSI Yogi hashtag.
They've got DNA off of just about any type of clothing. I know rugs and shirts and pants and ski masks.
Mattresses.
Oh yeah. Oh, here's a cool one.
Ooh, yes, please.
There was a sheet that was drenched in like gasoline, I think.
Okay.
And they threw it under a cop car and lit it on fire.
Okay.
And so everything burned up. Fortunately, the car didn't catch on fire.
Okay.
But the edges of the sheet that weren't burned,
Okay.
they took those and M-Vac'd them, and they got them.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the luck.
That's not luck. That's M-Vac.
No, but the luck that the sheet didn't burn all the way up, so there was even the ability to
okay,
M-Vac.
that's luck.
Oh, here's another one.
Oh, yeah.
A wick from a Molotov cocktail.
Whoa.
That's a good one, Jared.
Yeah. So this
Wow.
guy lit it and threw it, but when he threw it, it went out. So they pulled that
The wick out.
the
Yeah.
wick
Yeah.
out.
Wow.
and-
No
and
thanks,
M-Vac'd it.
Ninhydrin. We got you. Well, do you remember what the wick was made out of? Was it paper? Like, what was the wick made out
No,
of?
it was cloth.
It was the
Okay,
cloth
so
side,
never
yeah.
mind. Ninhydrin wouldn't have mattered anyway. So scratch that, everybody, and don't at me later. I thought it was paper. Okay, don't at me.
Oh,
I know
they have done a suicide note.
The M-Vac to suicide note.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay, how did that not turn into mush? Like, can you explain how that
Well,
would
you just
happen?
gotta move pretty fast, and you got to use the vented head that doesn't suck down on the paper as much.
You have.
Okay.
I thought. Okay, listen. In my day, we had one head for our M-Vac. How many heads do you have now?
Well, there's two.
Oh, okay.
A vented
Yeah.
and
So
non-vented.
on the very end of the sampling head,
Okay.
there's a blue skirt that's
I know about the
kind
skirt.
of yeah,
Yep.
it's kind of the pliable
Yep.
plastic.
Interesting.
Well, what we did was we punched 4 holes into that, and that allows more airflow past that, so it won't suck down on. It was originally designed
Yeah.
for skin sampling.
Okay,
Oh.
so after, as soon as we're finished with this, we're gonna run over there. We're gonna take a couple photographs, and then we're gonna have to post them.
Yeah, the M-Vac
Yeah,
machine.
so people-
yeah.
Exactly, so that they
Yeah,
know this blue
apologize.
skirt they're talking about. Don't
And
apologize.
make sure to send them to our YouTube channel so they can.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, and if you're gonna die, make sure you make a big mess so that we can use the M-Vac machine and solve your murder.
Absolutely. yes.
And also take your local crime scene leader to favor and keep it interesting. We love you guys so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Crime Scene is a Q Code Media production. Executive producers David Henning and Steve Wilson. Produced by Ryan Countshouse. Edited by Nate Dufort. Theme song and music by Darren Johnson.
Thanks for joining us. Your attention today brings us one step closer to exposing and eliminating the evil that brings crime to our communities. Hit subscribe and share this episode. Together, we will bring justice to every victim.